Hi fam, and welcome to a new video. In this video I am going to show you my very type A side to myself, and that is the side of me that loves Excel sheets and trackers and graphs and pie charts, and just like, yeah, I can be that person a lot. So basically, I like keeping track of things in my life, and one of the very big aspects of my life is, of course, books. So I keep track of my reading as well as the amount of books that come into my household, because as you can see, there are lots of them, and all of this kind of stems from the bookish resolutions video that I made in the beginning of this year, where I said that I want to keep track of things. So while I already have like apps like Goodreads or Storygraph now, and I had an Excel sheet that I had before where I kept track of things, this Excel sheet now in 2021 is way more advanced, and just has a lot of things. So it is a bit much, but I love it. So I'm going to show you what that is, and I have decided that I will also in the description be giving you like an empty version of this, so that you can also use it if you want. So if you want to use this Excel sheet, all you have to do is then just like make a copy and share it to your drive, I think, and then you can just use it for yourself. I will also be showing you how to kind of edit things within the I don't know, the columns that I have, so that in case you want to add things or you want to subtract things from that, that is something that you can do. And yeah, it's just a wonderful tutorial of sorts, but also an exploration of my mind and my Excel sheet. So let's just get to it. Alright, so let's begin. I called my Excel sheet State of Books 2021. You can rename it to whatever you want. But yeah, it starts off with book name, obviously, author name, and then the gender. I have put various options under here. Not sure if it is a person who is writing anonymously and you don't really know what their gender is, or mixed is if like maybe a bunch of people collaborating, an anthology or whatever. In terms of sexual orientation, you just have a gamut of things, but you also have the option of say mixed, which is, as I said, if a bunch of people are collaborating, or unknown if you're not really sure again. Also, for example, what I usually do is I think that it's important for me, so I just like go and Google things. So for example, that Twitter account, usually you get to know because they put it in that description. If not, I just like search for their bio, or like just search their name plus partner, and you just kind of understand what their sexual orientation is. This is, of course, sometimes you may be wrong, but that's fine. In terms of country, I think that again that's important, because I did say that I wanted to read from more countries apart from the US, but clearly that has not happened, but that's fine. So essentially I put down the country, but I also have added the option of ethnicity, because I think that that is really important, because for example, in countries like the UK and the US, people are not just from there. They also have, for example, they are Vietnamese American or the Dominican American, and having that ethnicity and having that other country associated with them is also really important. So you just kind of understand that, hey, even though I may be reading a lot from the US, I am reading diverse voices within the country as well. So yeah. Then we have race. For race, we have various different things: Caucasian, Black, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, South Asian, African, and not sure. So that's the way I put it. Again, I also thought that new to me author or read before author is also a thing that is important to me. So I have this option of read before or new to me. And then I also kind of wanted to know where exactly these stories are set in, not just like where these authors are from. I decided to just also have country primarily set in, because it just gives me a general idea. Other than that, I also have age group. So for age group, I want to see whether I'm reading adult, young adult, middle grade, or children. Primarily, I read a lot of adults, so that's fine. But if this is something that's important to you, I did say that I want to read a lot more non-fiction, so which is why I have fiction or non-fiction as like the main sub genre, and then I have the main genre within. So this is something that I've actually taken from G from Book Rose. So I did have like a main genre, but I didn't have notable subgenre before, which I think is also important because, for example, Midnight's Children could be magical realism, but it is also historical fiction and a classic. So just for me to keep that in mind, yeah, that is what I have taken from G's spreadsheet, so you can check that one out. And yeah, I always had LGBTQA themes, but I added this aspect of how she did it, where she added main character, whether it was present in the main character, whether it was generally present or not at all. And then also to kind of say where exactly, what exactly were those themes. And then this is the Bechtel test, is something which I will link down below what it is, but essentially it's about whether in a work of fiction, when there are two women conversing, are they only talking about men or they talking about other things as well. So yeah, so that's basically one thing that I wanted to also keep track and see what sort of books I'm reading and whether they're passing the Bechtel test. So yeah, so I have yes or no, and then I wanted to see whether it was meaningful or not, like if it was a meaningful conversation that these people were having or not. And then of course I said that I wanted to read more Dalit literature, so clearly during January, not great. So Dalit lit or not. And then I said I did want to read more translated literature, so I have options over here of yes it is Indian or yes it is international or not. So you can edit this, and now this is, let me tell you, I will tell you later how to edit, but yes, that is that. And then then I write here, for example, if this was translated from, I don't know, Marathi, then I would just write that here, and then that would be done, but it is not, so no. And then the Indian region, like where the author is from, or also where the thing is set, but I usually write where the author is from, just to kind of see how many like states and how many regions I'm kind of reading as well. Then we come to month read. So yeah, so I have all the months here. So I select January, which is this, and then I select, well, I started this in December, so well, I have this, and if you want to add something new, it doesn't really take it. So what I usually do is I just copy paste this and then I put it down here, and then I just click on this, like double click on it, and it just gives me, like, I can open this calendar and just kind of see, like, okay, like I wanna 21st of February, and then I finished it on, say, for example, the 23rd of February. So it tells me that, hey, I read it in 3 days. So that's interesting. So yeah, you can kind of keep track of things that way. And then yeah, year published, also I wanted to see whether I was reading like backlist books or not. And then like, yeah, the number of pages read. I also have like book length, so like it tells me just like a bunch of things over here. I kept this is also something that I took from G's sheet, which I thought was interesting. I also have in terms of format read, because I feel like that's also something that I want to keep track on. So there's ebook, there's paperback, hardback, ebook, audiobook. I also do a mix of things. So for example, I do paperback with audiobook, so all those other options on top with audiobook as well, because as I've said, that I think that it helps me read faster and better. So yeah, I also wanted to see whether shelved or new is essentially when I want to see whether this is a book that I've already had in my shelves before 2021, or this was a new purchase in 2021 and then I read it then. And then yeah, I wanted to also see whether I was using any of my subscription services. So these are the subscription services that I have. However, you can change them as per this thing, and I will show you how that gets done as well. And then of course I've been wanting to DNF books more, so if I DNF them, then you just click on it and you say DNF, and then the main reason to DNF is really fun. This is again I've taken from G's spreadsheet. So yeah, Now we come to the fun part, or like I don't know what part it is, but it is a slightly important part, which is the rating system. And I feel like I need to explain to you how I rate, or like all of that before we kind of move ahead. I have taken G's aspect of CAWPILE, which I thought was really interesting, and then added one more part of it. So it's CAWPPILE. But essentially, what she does is she looks at various aspects of a book and then puts numbers from 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, based on her enjoyment or whatever she thought of those aspects of the book. So, for example, C is for characters, whether she liked those characters, whether they thought the character arc was nice or whatever. A is for atmosphere, whether you liked or you thought that it was well described or anything like that. W is for writing, whether you enjoyed the writing, whether it was shit, I don't know. P is for plot, what you thought of the actual plot of it. And then I added another P, which is for pacing, which I think is really important to me. I want to know whether like the book is paced well or not. Or according to my I don't know, expectations. So that I is for intrigue, whether I was interested to move forward, which also kind of is related to pacing, but I feel like it is slightly different. And logic is L, where did you think that things were moving in a logical sort of way, or like were the characters acting out of character, or like did things happen which just didn't make sense. So that's logic. And then E is enjoyment, whether you just enjoyed the book or not. Again, I will link you to her video where she obviously describes this in a better sort of way. But yeah, that is my taking of it. Now I have taken this aspect of things and then I've made it kind of my own. So when I rank things, essentially I think of the NPS way of things. So this is something that I was taught when I was working. But essentially there is, I don't know if you are, sometimes you're on a site or something and then they ask you this question that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how likely are you to recommend this to a friend or a peer or your family or something like that. And then you have to rank from like 1 to 10, right? And essentially what that does is that it basically tells you whether you are the detractor for it, if you are passive, or you are a promoter. So essentially what it is that if you, it's from 9 to 10 is that you are a promoter, 7 to 8 is your passive, and 1 to 6 is you are detractor, or you think that like it could have been better, but you're not going to essentially be like shouting or from the top of your lungs about how amazing this thing is. So yeah, so that's basically how I think of things, and that is my rating system in my head when it comes to CAWPILing. And then I just put those numbers down. So if you think that this NPS thing is a little difficult, I also have something that was part of G's spreadsheet, which is this rough guide as per CAWPILE, that you can check out. That is super helpful as well. And you can kind of like understand what your thoughts are probably based on that, and put it. This is in no way like everyone has their own different sort of like rating system, so like up to you really. But yeah, I thought that this was definitely helpful. And yeah, so there's that. And then I also have my interpretation of what the rating should be. So as I said, G's spreadsheet had it only in terms of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas I have added the 0.5s within as well, which I just thought they were important. So I have my interpretations of what these stars mean. You can change it, but yeah, these are mine. So 0 stars is just burn my eyes, I want to die. 1 star is burn this book. Then 1.5 is what was the publisher thinking. 2 stars is bad, probably some good, but no thank you. Then there is 2.5 stars is okay but won't recommend. 3 stars is good read but didn't affect me personally in any way, or just like maybe it was disappointing. 3.5 is was fine, could have been better but still solid. 4 is great read, some minor issues but overall good. 4.5 is close to perfection, and 5 is perfection. So that is my general ratings. So yeah, so then back to this, what it essentially then tells you is what your score is, and then it automatically kind of gives you this. So for example, if I give a random book 8 stars in terms of 8 in terms of characters, 5 in terms of atmosphere, you can see that it is moving slightly over here. Writing was a 7, plot was a 6, pacing was a 8, intrigue was a 8, logic was a 7, and enjoyment was an 8. So it automatically tells you that it is a 4-star read. So that is really cool. And then I've also added the idea of an NPS. So even though it may be, for example, a lot of times I feel like even though it could be like a 3-star read or a 4-star read for you, it is something that you would still recommend to people. So that's something that I put. So for example, if I think this is a 4-star read, or conversely, it's a 4-star read for me, but I wouldn't definitely recommend this to people, so I'll put this as like an 8, or like maybe a 7. So I'm definitely not going to, like, essentially what this means is that I'm not going to be shouting through the rooftops about this, but I still think that it was a solid read. So there's that. And yeah, so that is, it automatically kind of comes up, see, like all the 5s, or like if you put 2, or if I put 9, or I put 10. So yeah, like color coordinated and shit. It's awesome. So yeah, so that's something that I have kind of done, and basically just don't mess with this area, just like let it be. But yeah, then I wanted to make sure that like I review all the books that I kind of put up. So I see whether I have written it or not posted it, or posted it on Instagram, posted on my blog, on both, not yet, whatever. So there's that. I also wanted to write the themes that were covered in this, so that's the thing that I did it. And also in terms of like why did I read this book ultimately. In terms of stats also, I have all of the things that I have mentioned previously, but I've also put, like, for example, what my favorite read is of the year or my least favorite, and then I have my average rating. Now my average rating I just take from, this is something that you'll have to manually do as well, so I basically just say equal to average, and then so for example I just do equal to average, and the thing automatically pops up, and then I basically just go over here and then select what my average rating is from here to here, for example, and then just close the parenthesis, the brackets, and then it automatically comes up here. I don't want it to be more than 2 decibels, so I just bring it down, and that's how it automatically comes up. So that's how I'm going to do it. So that's something that you can kind of do as well. In terms of number of books I read, I add that manually. Also in terms of similar thing, instead of average I just write sum and then just add the total. And then over here I have new purchase versus shelf pre-2021. So these are books that either did I read new books that I bought in 2021, or were they like books that I had on my shelf for a longer period of time. So that's 7 to 5, which is, well, it's something. And then now over here I have my genre breakdown. So essentially, well, it says 14, but that's because it's showing you my Feb stuff as well. So never mind that for now. But essentially it shows you all the sort of genres that I've read so far, and it gives you a total of the amount of genres that I've read. Many minutes later. And yeah, that's basically how it is. What you do have to kind of see over here though is that in terms of your overall rating, what you have to do is that you have to edit your chart at all points of time, because what it does is that if I just put my chart rating from like B2 to 141 or 123, which is where everyone else is, then it just gives you this very skewed thing where you get like so many zeros because it hasn't been well, you haven't put it all in yet, if that makes sense. Like, those are books which you haven't rated yet, so essentially till the amount that it is rated is where I kind of leave it at, and then you kind of have to like keep editing it and like keep asking it to take those rows in, if that makes any sense to you. I don't know if that's making sense to you. I have been speaking for way too long. So yeah. So that's exactly what my stats look like. I just like going back and looking at this because it makes me feel happy. But yeah, that's essentially that. What I'll do now is just explain to you how exactly to edit your anything here. So if you, for example, want to remove, say for example, you don't want to read Dalit lit, but you want to read like black literature or like African literature or like European literature, then you can just change that. That's simple enough. But in terms of like, say for example, you don't want to read Indian translated, but you just want to keep it simple as like yes or no, because you know you may not care really. So all you have to do then is just go to data validation, and then just change it here. So just say yes, comma no, and then that comes up, and then you just have those as an option. So yes and no as an option. So it's literally that simple. That's all you have to do. Has it changed back? Yes, it has. Okay, great. But yeah, that's all you have to do to kind of change things. If you want to delete things also, that's great, but just make sure then that you go back to your stats, because that just might change a bit. So just go back and make sure that like you edit your chart and see whether where the data range is. So for example, sexual orientation is E, so just if it changes, you'll see what I mean. Sometimes it just changes, okay, if you delete stuff or move things around or whatever. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. Okay, let's move into the aspect of the money spent or new books sheet. So this I have as a way for me to just kind of keep track of all the books that are coming in, be it books that I've bought or books that I've received online, or like just as ARCs, physical ARCs or whatever. And also in terms of like the amount of like subscription services that I have. So I have all of the subscription services that I have here, and all I do is just like kind of add them. So it kind of just tells me what the overall expenditure of mine is in that month, and it just kind of keeps me in check, you know. So I think that it's good that way. But all I do is essentially I have this very extensive thing here, but I have like the name, the author, the genre, I put the amount, and then I have whether it's a gift, whether I bought it for me, whether it's a gift for someone or I've been gifted it by someone, if it's an online ARC or a physical ARC, and then I have format. I do want to buy more from indie booksellers, so I kind of keep track of like whether they are bought from indie booksellers or not. And then I have what was the reason? What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
So I put that down as well, and then I have a thing for like date read, because I do want to read all the books that kind of come in as well, and I keep track of that here. And yes, that is essentially what my spreadsheet looks like. I hope that this was helpful for you, or that this was entertaining in any way. I don't know. If you again want to use it, I will link the spreadsheet, which you can then copy to your drive and use for yourself. And if you have any questions or anything that comes up, then let me know, and I hope that this was helpful. If you are here till the end, then do leave me like a graph emoji or something like that, or like a guy with the nerdy glasses emoji. That would be fun for me. And yeah, just let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer anything that you have in your mind. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.